Mic check on the ones and twos.
Okay, man. Phone's on silent. Everything's good.
Everything's solid. Miles is here.
Yeah. Got color correction.
We're just doing a short interview, if that's all right with you.
Oh, yeah. Just...
No worries.
Oh, it's okay, man.
Yeah, don't record drums, yeah.
Your mic is just going to pick you, so...
Sure, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Music is the only thing that gives me this feeling in my body where I'm like, it's this warm and exciting feeling, and this is the only thing. Like, there is no other option. So that came when I went to university. And when I graduated, it was kind of tough to find a balance because suddenly I had to work full time to pay my rent, and that just really started clashing with my creative process. And it took me a good couple of months to actually come to terms with that, and stepping back and seeing like, okay, I need this as a way of means, you know, or how do you say it, like, as I need this to create a sustainable environment for myself. And I'm not saying that music can't fit into that. It's just finding the time and also pushing yourself, because I have 2 days off in the week. Do I want to sit back and binge Netflix, or do I go out and do this creative stuff? I've discovered that I write best like late at night. I'd come home from work at 11, 12 o'clock in the evening, and then I'd start producing music until the late hours. So it really depends. Every time I open up a new project, I go in with a fresh mind. I'm like, all right, so it's a blank canvas. I can do whatever I want with this. I usually go to one of my synths and try and get a nice sound with that before I record it and treat it, and then really just go from there, build up a beat. I usually end up at the climax of a song quite early, which is actually a good thing, because then I know where I'm gonna end up, and then I can work my way towards that climax, which is why most of my songs have a climax at the end. But yeah. Joni Mitchell once said, write what you know. Write about what you know. And that's been an invaluable lesson for me. At the start, I found myself trying to write songs that I couldn't relate with myself. And now I can understand that if I can't relate with a song, how will anyone? So I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not with my music. I'm trying to take inspiration from my own experiences, and in that way, writing unique music, I think, because the essence of being independent and living in a different country, they're all reflected in my music, whether that is the instrumentals I produce, or if it's the songs I put out with Valis. It's all based on my experiences living abroad, being in long-distance relationships, romantically and with my family, or platonic with my friends, you know. I moved away from my best friends and my family that I saw every day to pursue this dream. And that, I feel, really is reflected in my music.
Mm-hmm.
Man, nothing's ever finished. I genuinely believe that, and it's been getting in my way, man, honestly, because that's a really important thing, like when to say, right, this is it, like, I'm not gonna work on this anymore, this is finished, release this into the world. That is one of the hardest things for me, and I don't know where that's come from, but...
You think that's hard for all creative people, or artists, or musicians? Or
yeah, because, yeah, it is, because I think it's really important, like for anyone, painters, other art forms, you know, it's a process, and you'll forever be in that process. So, I mean, it's one thing to say, all right, I'm gonna like keep changing this kick drum until it's perfect.
But what is perfect?
But what is perfect? And that's only your idea of something being perfect. So I've kind of let go of that idea of something has to be perfect, because it won't ever be. And that's taken me a good couple of years to realize. My latest release really is a prime example of me not being able to finish a song at all. I took about 2 years to finish that. It started out with a demo on my laptop, and then it really only became a song once I took it to my producer, my co-producer, I should say. And we both worked on the structure of the song. And then we actually went out into the studio and recorded all the synths I'd done in my room, but on analog gear, into an SSL G4000 desk. Just putting that extra piece of flavoring on it, basically. And that's where it's come from. Like you see the influence of the analog synths from the 80s, but you also see influences from modern music. So when I was 18, I think, I saw this video of Jack Garrett just playing a song on live radio, and I saw this keyboard that he was using, and it sounded otherworldly to me. So I was researching, trying to figure out what that keyboard was, and it turns out it was a Korg Stage Vintage 1. I went and got a job when I was 19, worked full-time over a couple months in the summer, and saved up the money to buy a Korg SV1. And that's the instrument I use for every song I make. Whether that is like a whirly sound or like a synth sound, piano, it all starts with the Korg SV1. I sit down and write. Afterwards, I might record it with that instrument into Logic, or I'll step away from what I've created and just look at the core, look at the bass notes, what I can change with that, literally start layering that. So everything starts with the Korg SV1. A couple years later, I bought a Korg Minilog, which is a polyphonic synthesizer, analog polyphonic synthesizer that I saw while I was volunteering at The Great Escape in 2017, I think. One of the bands that was playing had a Korg Minilog, and I was just blown away by the sound of it. That was exactly the sounds I wanted to be making. And that ties in with what I said earlier, like you getting a new piece of kit just opens up this door to a whole different universe of sounds and music and genre that you can now use as a tool. So I'd say those two are definitely the most important in my setup. And then I use a bunch of plugins that I like to use.
Any one in particular you're into now? You sort of discovered it? Or...
Actually, when I was in LA, I was privileged enough to have my own setup and just play with any plugins that they had. And one of them that stuck to me was a plugin called Diva by Yuhi, which is an analog emulation, basically, of analog synths like Roland Juno 60, Juno 6, Jupiter 8, Mini Moog, and I was just blown away by the sound quality of that. When I started taking music seriously, the goal was always playing Lowlands in the Netherlands and playing Paradiso, and I still think that's a real goal for me. Something I can reach as well in the next, like you said, 5 to 10 years. Maybe let's not say 10, it's too long. So in the sense of being an artist, that's definitely still the goal for me, whether that be being in the band as a session musician or being it with my own music. That truly doesn't interest me as long as I get the experience of doing things like that. And then from that, I'd like to produce music for other people, whether that just be like making instrumentals and sending them off to people and then they make a song with it, or whether it's me collabing with an artist and writing a song from scratch. I think I'd be good at both. So Valis is on Spotify, on Instagram, @ValisMusic, and on Facebook, same @ValisMusic.